Hello survivors and welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be taking a first look at Douglas, who has been made a legacy ascendable. Of course, he is now available as a 6-star. If you had him maxed out on your roster, you can ascend him straight away. And this is what he looks like as a 5-star in terms of his visuals, and then this is what the visuals look like as a 6-star. A little bit of a change, again another jacket gets on there. We'll look at the stats first. 1,493 attack, 1,973 defense, and 1,866 HP. He is of course tough trait, and his role is defined as a tank. We'll take a look at his rush, and the name has been changed from regroup to ridicule and regroup. It's 76 AP cost, taunt up to 3 enemies for 1 turn. All teammates get 50% defense for 2 turns and regain 35% of their max HP. So when I originally did my guesstimates of what he would be like, I kind of saw his buffs getting increased and then him having a cleanse added. He's had a taunt added. I don't know if this is good or bad. It's not terrible, but it's only 1 turn really. It's not going to be too effective. It's just a little bonus. If you've got a shield, it's going to force those people to attack that shield. If he is behind an Eric and there's a Magna shield, you're forcing 3 people to potentially get impaired on defense. Whereas normally you maybe have a disarm attack first, or so on and so forth, or you're going to stop 3 people from being able to rush that turn. So that could be pretty nice. The all teammates get 50% defense is not fantastic, especially as most people are going to use him behind Eric, who already has a 40% defense buff. So that isn't too great, but it is what it is. It isn't going to keep the crit buff, which would have been quite nice on an attack team. I kind of hoped that defense would be changed to attack, but I didn't assume so, but it would have been nice. And regain 35% of their max HP is okay, as long as it was all teammates getting that buff. It was the most important thing. I think it was 3 teammates getting 60%. There we go, 3 teammates regain 60% as a 5-star. It's just important that all teammates get the heals as 6-stars, basically, just so it's a bit more like, I don't know, nicer, if I'm honest. The 3 teammates ones can sometimes not be that great, but sometimes they can be good. We'll look at the active skill. It is got active skill confuse, which is confusing because it's more of an offensive skill to have confuse, and I guess this guy's more like, he is a tank, he's a more defensive character, but it is quite a nice confuse. If we look at it, it has got an initial cooldown of 3 turns, but it does confuse 2 enemies for 2 turns, so it's just as powerful as like Cal's rush confuse or Shiva's rush confuse, which is pretty nice. If you have him on a defense team, not a lot of people are going to run confuse resist on their attack team, so it's generally going to be quite effective. But it's hard to know what you'd want to happen between his rush and his active skill. Obviously, if it's got an initial cooldown of 3, he could potentially be doing his active skill when you want him to be gaining AP to get that rush. I think it's going to go off the same turn as his rush if you've got AP on attack. But then again, because he is a specialist skill, he's kept that specialist skill Guardian, and it's been upgraded to Guardian 2, you might want to just make his weapon really tanky, just so he's getting those Guardian shields off more often, which means he's going to sacrifice a turn for his rush, and then he could potentially sacrifice another turn for his rush based on the active skill. It's hard. It's going to be very difficult to sort of kit this guy out and get the best out of him. But I'd say you want to utilize his specialist skill the most. Having Guardian 2 is fantastic. If he's going to be next to Eric, those defense teams that are already quite annoying within free-to-play are going to be even more annoying now because they're going to have a Guardian on there. I think Cal is not as strong as this character. Obviously, this guy's got 800 more defense base than Cal, and obviously he's going to be getting 40% extra on top of that from Eric lead skill, and then there's going to be the combat mods on top of that, and then the weapon. He's going to be ultra tanky, and you're not going to have to buff up his attack at all because it's just basic attack. So you're going to have people rolling around with 3.5k HP in defense, which is going to be very hard to take down. The rush, like I say, it's not spectacular. It's just going to be keeping your team chugging along. It's mainly that specialist skill that seems to be the main draw of this character. And like I said, I don't think this is terrible. I'm probably going to ascend him on both my regions. He'll work fantastically well behind an Eric. Unless you have Holly, I don't think you need to probably ascend this guy if you have Holly. But he could be good just for other parts of the game. He's going to be fantastic in every part of the game. Faction Assault, Survival Road, just having those stats increase, and the fact that he's going to be doing 2 Guardian shields per turn rather than the 1, it's going to be a massive upgrade. So do tell me what you think about Douglas. I think he's actually a pretty decent character. He's not as good as Rick, for instance. Obviously that active revive is really, really good. but I think he's still quite a good legacy Ascendable. But that's the end of my video, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.